Good evening. Welcome once again to Dispatch, the weekly show designed to keep you on track as you build and operate your layout. I'm Roy Smith, your dispatcher. Thank you for joining me tonight. Coming up on tonight's show, a big shout out, your layout photos, the question of the week, your comments, and as a number of you have requested, an explanation of why I'm living in Panama. Let's start tonight's show with a big shout out. Tonight's shout out goes to Thomas Klimaski and his Georgia Northeastern Model Railroad. Thomas's layout is a switching layout based on a short line prototype, the Georgia Northeastern Railroad. In his videos, Thomas shows you how he operates his layout. Let's go take a look. I want you to go over to Thomas's channel and take a look around when this episode of Dispatch ends. I really enjoy watching operations on his layout, and I know you will too. I'll put a link down below that will take you there. Be sure to subscribe while you're there and tell Thomas that Roy Smith sent you. Now, coming up next on Dispatch, your layout photos. Once again, many of you have posted photos of your layouts at the N-Scale Union Pacific Evanston Subdivision group on Facebook this week, and from there I have brought your photos over to Dispatch. Let me share them with you now. I want you to go over to the group when this episode of Dispatch ends and post a photo of your layout, because we model railroaders love to look at photos of layouts. You'll know you're at the right place when you see this photo. I'll put a link to it down below. Be sure to come right back here though afterwards, because I have tons of stuff that I want to share with you right here on this channel. And now, the question of the week. Here's the question I posed in last week's episode of Dispatch. Do you have too many locomotives on your layout? Well, you responded to the question, and here are the results. As this chart indicates, roughly 75% of you said, no, you don't have too many locomotives. Meanwhile, 25% of you said, yes, you do have too many. A number of you who indicated that you don't have too many locomotives said it's impossible to have too many of them. And some of you who said you did have too many of them also said that you probably will keep on buying more of them. Sometimes our spouses think we already have enough locomotives and we don't need to buy any more. But here's what my wife Leonor has to say about it.
Soy Leonor, la esposa de Roy. Nos veremos próximamente en mayo en Pensilvania. Pienso que Roy no tiene demasiados trenes.
Leonor isn't a model railroader, but she certainly supports my passion for the hobby. Okay, moderators, speaking of Leonor, I want to go off topic for a minute. Last Saturday night, we went to a party at the Hilton. Here's Leonor dancing with the electric man at the party. I'll bet this guy could power my entire layout. As for me, I don't have any wigs like Sparky 107 has, but at least I got this silly hat and even sillier glasses at the party. I'll bet these glasses would help when I'm trying to install N-scale couplers. Okay, enough of that nonsense. Let's get back on topic. I want to share with you a clip from a commentary that I uploaded last September called Too Many Diesels. In it, I offer 12 reasons why I think I may have too many diesels on my layout. Is it possible to have too many locomotives on your layout? How do you know when you have too many? And what can you do with those excess locomotives? That's what we're going to talk about right now. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. I'm glad you could join me for this commentary in which we will talk about an issue of concern to model railroaders everywhere. Let me offer you 12 reasons why the diesels I already have on my layout may be too many. In this commentary, I have a lot more to say about the topic of too many locomotives on my layout. I'll put a link to it down below. You can watch it in its entirety by clicking on that link. And now, the question for the coming week. Here it is. What is your favorite kind of freight car? Is it covered hoppers, intermodals, coal porters, tank cars, box cars, gondolas, perhaps some other kind of car, or perhaps you like all of them equally? Let me know in the comments section down below. Vote for your favorite kind of freight car, and we'll see which one is the winner in next week's episode of Dispatch. Again, the question for the coming week is, what is your favorite kind of freight car? And now, your comments in response to my layout update on Saturday. This past Saturday, I uploaded a video to this channel called An Unexpected Track Plan Change. In it, I explain why I have decided not to run a track from the new lift-up section at the entrance to my train room down to the west end of Echo Canyon after all. Here's a brief clip from the video. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. A few weeks ago, I announced a series of big track plan changes to my layout. One of these changes called for a track going from the lift up at the entrance to my train room down to the west end of Echo Canyon. Well, I'm scrapping that idea. It's not going to happen. As I said at the beginning of this series on track plan changes, a track plan is just a tentative guide. It can always be changed. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about that unexpected change to my track plan. But I also want to show you how to modify Cato unit joiners for use at the lift-up. I want to discuss the important issue of track polarity at Pocatello, and I want to briefly describe the routes that trains can take on my layout as a number of you have been asking me to do. Let me begin by showing you that important change to the track plan. And here's what some of you had to say in response to that video. Dean Danielson wrote, "Hi Roy, thanks for your explanation on your track plan changes. Nice to know you can always make track changes." Absolutely, Dean. I often say that a track plan is merely a guide. We need to feel comfortable about changing it as we proceed to lay track according to the plan. We also need to know that we can change the track plan after we've been running trains on the layout for a while and discover some changes that would improve the layout operationally. Joey of A Touch of the Brush Model Weathering wrote, "Sometimes simplifying a track plan makes for better operations and makes scenes stand out more. No need to ruin the Echo Canyon scene." I agree, Joey. I was never totally happy with that track running from the lift up down to the west end of Echo Canyon because it damaged the integrity of Echo Canyon. Originally, I included it because it enabled me to run 2 trains simultaneously on the upper level of the layout without either of them having to disappear down the helices to staging. But I decided to scrap that track again because of the undesirable impact it would have had on Echo Canyon. And John Waters wrote, "Roy, the work you put into the railroad and also to produce these videos is staggering. Do you ever eat? Ever sleep?" I'm afraid not, John. I don't have time to eat or sleep. In fact, I don't even have time to go to the bathroom. Ha! Well, I really appreciate your comments about auto reversers, which I also talked about in this episode, and I appreciate the suggestions that some of you offered concerning track realignments that I could make at White Mountain and on the lift up. These realignments sound good, and I will study them carefully. As always, I want you to know how much I appreciate your comments because they allow me to interact with you, and they also help me build a better layout. Next up, a special feature on Dispatch tonight. Why am I living here in Panama? A number of you have been asking me this question. Why am I living in Panama? I'm going to answer your question right here on Dispatch tonight. I'm going to answer it by showing you a clip from a video that I uploaded back in June of 2017. Here's that clip. As you may already know, I live in Panama City, Panama. Yep, that's the place with the Panama Canal. Maybe you think Panama is far, far away. But let me reassure you, Panama is directly south of Miami, and the flight from Miami to Panama City only takes about 2.5 hours. You may be wondering why I'm down here. Well, the U.S. Army brought me here in 1990 for the last assignment of my military career. In late 1991, I retired from the Army and have been living down here ever since. And in 1994, I married a Panamanian lady, and we live in what used to be a U.S. Air Force base in what used to be the U.S. Canal Zone. Let me also assure you that I have all the comforts of home down here, with an important exception. And that exception is there are no train stores, train clubs, or train shows here. And so far as I know, I'm the only model railroader in the whole country. So, when I travel to the States, as I normally do twice a year, you can imagine that I include a lot of railroad and model railroad activities in my itinerary. Well, that just about wraps up this episode of Dispatch. Again, I'd like to thank you for joining me tonight. Of course, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon so that you get notified of new uploads. I don't want you to miss any of them. Until next time, happy railroading. I'm Roy Smith, and I will see you again very soon.